FM radio from studios in West Yorkshire, late. Mustafa Jami, my name at the seat here from studios. Our tonight topic title is History of Banjul, the Gambia. Mr. Dembo Fati will be here to take us through this very important topic title tonight, History of Banjul, the Gambia. At the seat, Mustafa Jami, stay tuned, keep it locked. Sky Power FM radio. Of Banjul, the Gambia, Sky Power FM radio, studios West Yorkshire, Leeds. Mustafa Jami, my name at the seat. Saying good evening, good morning, good day to you all, wherever you are on planet Earth. Our tonight topic title is Banjul History, History of Banjul, the Gambia. Just waiting for Dembo to come through. Mr. Dembo Fati will be taking us through this very important topic title tonight. History of Banjul. Dembo is a historian, very good at history. Thank you to you, Mrs. Jenaba Balasise. Fatu Foster Sin, thank you. All right, just share this program because history of Banjul is all we need to know. Dembo Fati will be here to take us through this. History of Banjul, the Gambia. Topic title tonight. Dembo, are you ready? Let's go. Fati, who will be taking us through this very important topic title. Our tonight topic title is History of Banjul, the Gambia. Mustafa Jami, my name at the seat, saying good evening, good morning, good afternoon to you wherever you are on planet Earth. History of Banjul. Keep it locked, stay tuned, Dembo will be here in a sec. Yeah, if you just keep an eye on that Dembo on the screen, see how this and just accept it straight away. Live here on Skype or FM radio. As long as our Facebook live stream line, there was some listeners wherever you are waiting for Dembo to come on. History of Banjul, Dembo Fati. Right, trying to get all of Mr. Dembo Fati will be taking us through this very important topic title, History of Banjul, the Gambia. Listen, request coming right away, and then we will go live on your Skype or FM radio. Right, I'll send you the radio link as well if you're busy. Radio link out. The link below is the radio link. If you want to see yourself on the radio or audio thing, this is what you need to click, and then you see yourself on Skype or FM radio. Dembo Fati, we're trying to get hold of to take us through this topic, history of Banjul in the Gambia. Dembo, if you can get me out of there. Once again, just to remind you, this is Skype or FM radio. Finally, we got Dembo here. From Sky Power FM Radio Studios, West Yorkshire, Leeds, Mustafa Jami, my name, not the seat. As we were, topic title tonight is History of Banjul de Gambia. Dembo Fati will be taking us through this very important topic titled Dembo is here finally. Dembo, first of all, welcome to Sky Power FM Radio. If you wanna move your camera a bit, because it seems like we can't see your face properly, Dembo.
I'm trying to set up now phoning to the camera itself,
Right.
but I think it should be steady in about But interestingly, there's a lot of sunshine in Seattle, so so
Dembo, you know, from the Gambia,
but I still have most of the time. It's either raining or it's cloudy. So
right. Good.
On a sunny day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on a sunny day, usually, everybody gets excited.
You're excited, yeah. We can see you, not too bad now at the minute. Dembo, as you're aware, tonight's topic title is History of Banjul, the Gambia, the capital city. So, history of Banjul. Right. First of all, Dembo, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Mustafa, for having me. We are once again back. I think this is our third episode. Yeah. In the main sort of this Tariko. And I'm quite happy to be back. And I hope, the viewers from Melbetada around, they would be quite supportive.
Yes.
And coming Kavanyame, Tariko Mandika Counter, the correct word is Dofo. Tariko is Arabic. It's not Mandinka.
Right.
So the typical Mandinka word is Dofo, which means Ikadole for Dofare Dofo. So it's supposed to be a participatory thing. So I hope coming at least Ninga Kachalke along the lines, maybe about half an hour or so, we would be in a position to invite people. Yes. They want to make some comments.
That's correct.
They are also, about Karanka.
That's correct.
Mandinko Lafoko, Ifolole don't tantantu to mark in the Kotele Mobe no don.
That's correct.
Yeah, as a Keno, maybe Inyal Candidato, Ifole Luko, but
Yeah. Dembo, if I may start asking you, first of all, Dembo, the word Banjul, where does this Banjul come from? Where do we derive the name Banjul? What is Banjul?
Yeah, like in all of the episodes in the program,
yeah.
I tried to provide a brief background to the topic itself.
That's correct.
Because Nina directly Eco Banjolibo define Ladron, then you're going to leave out a lot of important information on Molianta Milona.
Go ahead.
And so for a start, I think it is important we have to go back way back into history.
Okay.
From the history classes we've been taught in school.
Right.
A lot of the time the school syllabus coming from Mole is that the European contact with Gambia came with the Portuguese.
Okay.
And that's been the general theme Mealonko has been, taught in schools. It's been the school syllabus. But unfortunately, research has shown that the Portuguese were not the first people to have contact with us in that land, that area that we now call Gambia. There have been earlier Western contacts with us. And from what I was able to gather was that, the Portuguese were 100 years late.
Right.
The first Europeans were learn to visit Nung in that area where the French.
Okay.
Which is not taught in our school systems, is not in our syllabuses, that we tend to give a lot of credit to the Portuguese, yes, but the Portuguese were late by 100 years. The French were here as early as 1300. They have been in that area that we call Senegambia.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to take us way back to around that time and then move closer towards 1816 when we have what is supposedly supposed to be Banjul, when there were other settlements there that was not called Banjul. So
right.
one of the earliest, in the history that I was able to find out, was that the French were the first people to come in, and they were merchants from the two towns of Dieppe and Rouen. These were the earliest Western merchants. They moved from Europe to have a contract with us in West Africa.
Right.
And that was as early as 1364. And within the period they have been around, you will see some of the effects of those French contacts with us. And one of it is if they have gone as far as Ghana. In fact, there are evidences by 1300 that the Elmina Castle, that is the famous Elmina Castle in Ghana, was actually a French establishment. And there are evidences on one of those castles at Elmina with the date 1300, Roman numbers MCCC, which means the year 1300.
Right.
Which was by the French. And in fact, the Elmina is basically, they were French words. The reason why they had Elmina, they were coming from the mines, the mina, was because there were gold mines in those places. So they were French contacts that took place almost 150 years before the Portuguese came.
Right.
And part of the culture has been influenced by the French. And some of the stations they had in that area, for today in Kafadameko in Senegal, Rufisque. The French name was called the Rio Fresco. Rio Fresco was the French name for it before it became Rufisque. And even Ghana, the capital in Accra was a French name, ACRA. Then it later became ACCRA.
Okay.
These were French, establishments. Even Senegal, they had stations that they called Senaga, which later became Senegal, as early as the 1300s. And even Gambia, interestingly, they had a station that was called Gambra. So there was a French station that was called Gambra. And now I am beginning to wonder whether the idea of Gambia came from Gambia, or whether Gambia itself is a corruption of Gambra.
Well, that is interesting, yes.
Yeah, because I'm not disputing what Gambia and in Gambia coming into the name Gambia, but then this is an academic exercise. We have to provide all the options,
yes,
and see how we can arrive at an informed decision. Because until we have all these options available, we are not in a position to be able to see history from a different perspective. But there was a French business station in that Gambia area that was called Gambra. So whether that Gambra station later became Gambia, or it was because of the contact with the Westerners that they call Gambia became Gambia. It's something is still debatable, but then I think it's important that we share that history.
Yes.
There was also an option called Gambra, and that was a trading station by the French. This was well before the Portuguese came. So, and then if we go through all that, we will find out the French influencing had been very, very powerful. And they built a lot of castles, they had trading. In fact, there is a recorded account that by 1382, that the French visited River Gambia, which is not Alvisola time. Alvisola time was in 1455. Okay. That's what they teach us in school. But I have been able to find out that the French did visit the Gambia River in 1382.
Right.
So Francelier Sabanjela. So the idea that Alviso Karamosco was the first, it's not supported by history.
By history, yeah.
And then even after the French came in 1382, there was another Portuguese guy who also came before Alviso. And his name was Nuno Tristão. Now, Nuno Tristão, according to his accounts, to the accounts me and Uncle, they've been recorded at the courts in Lisbon, in Portugal. Yeah. He visited Gambia in 1446. He made two trips. He made one trip in 1444. That was around Cape Verde. But then eventually on his second trip, he came in 1446. And in 1446, it was there were records that he did enter the mouth of the River Gambia. This is supported by people like Donald Wright in his book, The Gambia and a Small Place in West Africa. This is also supported by the Webster Dictionary of the Gambia from 1066 to 2017. Yes, 2007. Sorry. That also established that Nuno Tristão did actually visit Gambia. So if Nuno came in 1446, then he was not, then Alviso is not the first Portuguese to visit us. So those are things that I thought we should explain to the audience, and in the viewers you many along through the radio and then Melba Jubekan live. That in contact with the West didn't start with the Portuguese. They actually started with the French. And what we've been told that Alviso is the first contact is apparently not the case. That there were other Portuguese that came before him. And in fact, in the story that Nuno Tristão was storying, in the accounts, it is stated that when he entered the mouth of the river, and if you are very familiar with the geography of the Atlantic Ocean, when he entered the river, either from the south or from the north, you will have the Banjul Island on your right.
Right.
And then you will have Nyomi to your left, Barat area. So in the accounts, it was stated that when he entered the mouth of the river, he was very, very much focused by a settlement that he saw on his right.
Yeah.
And that was in 1446. So the settlement that he saw on his right can only be Banjul Island.
Right, okay.
Because needing the Atlantic Ocean, Buluba Karo la keke Banjul, Imara Karo is going to be Nyomi, which will be Bara Las Pisononi. And there was an incident that happened because in the accounts that were provided at the courts in Lisbon, it was stated that when he arrived, he was so focused about that settlement that he didn't realize there was a group of people in a canoe on the other side from the left that came to attack him. So he was concentrating on the right side, which means even by 1446, the island of what we call today Banjul was inhabited by people.
So when was Banjul in exist? When does Banjul come into existence then?
Banjul itself by its name is very recent. That's a very, very recent name.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
Yeah. So there were names that preceded that island before. And in fact, Banjul has a local name, which in all African island we are not taught these things in history, but I was able to get this information from a book that was published, Gambia Bibliography, all the way to 1977, from the oldest books that have ever been written by Gambia, on Gambia, up to the year 1977. And in the preface of that book is where I found the local name for our town, our capital, Banjul. But Banjul was not the name. I'll get to that.
Okay.
I'll get to that. So when Nuno Tristão came in, he was attacked from the left. Okay, all right. I'll summarize. Okay. When Nuno Tristão was attacked from the left, there was a group of soldiers from Bara N, Nyomela Carol Melia attack, and he came in with 21 people. Sorry, 28 people, and he was not in Portugal.
Okay.
Now, out of the 28 people, he lost 21, including himself. He died.
Okay.
They were attacked by the Nyominkas, and they had poisonous arrows. Okay. And as a result, he lost 21 of his people, and then only 7 made it back to Lisbon.
Right.
And they went to report back to Prince Henry, about the disaster. Actually, what they came to do was to raid for slaves. Slave trading buka wafinu, John buka wafinu. Ike raid le ni nada ni molye sapika yebula kulunku yesiki yesamba. That's how it started. So the idea that coming to African only can more wafinu willingly kedi to abule. No, it didn't start like that. They started with raidings. People like Nuno Tristão was one of those people who came in. Then Nyominkoli attacked. Now the question I have is, why is it that the people of Nyomi will lay Nuno Tristão attack in 1446 and not the people of Congo.
That's strange.
Because more and more attack no la fem kunto mem manke tat.
That's correct.
So if that boat was heading towards the Banjul Island and Nyominkole attack, what happened to the king of Combo? Because we are told Combo letamu Banjul Island on. Now, but this historical event basically begins to put some holes into that theory. The island belonged to the people of Combo. Because we not know Combo ma attack. So I don't think you will have any interest in trying to take that place from the Portuguese when that land does not belong to you.
Absolutely.
So that's one area that I have an issue with, where that island actually belongs to Combo. Secondly, in the epic of Kelefa Sane, another Nyomingol Marco Kelomen against Jokadu, where he died in Barrier. There is an account by one of our own Gambian Jalis. He's called Kemo Kuyate. Kemo Kuyate is apparently from Badibu Saba. He's from the accounts that I read. He's from Saba, and I believe Ndenga Saba Menlong Abekela Badibu.
I like to think so.
Yeah, that's the only place I know about Saba. So in that account, it said Kemo indicated Kabribe Island Nyu Wafila. Wato menna nyomi mansala bari musuma balanta nunko kana keno nyi wafi.
Right.
Because I remember I wolom yinto ko ni keno nyi wafama mol melbe nyomi bukara borla jet to go and seek refuge over there.
Right.
Okay, that's one area. So in that aspect, that means from Kemo Kuyatela perspective, Nyomi may have a claim onto it. In 1446, it was the Nyomi people that attacked, which is the earliest time. I'm not denying the fact that at some point Combo may not have owned the island, but then in 1446, which is the earliest records that we found, was that Nyominkole attack against the Europeans on that island. Right. There was no Combo that came to attack. So the land may have changed hands over time. Of course, 1446, 1816, that is almost nearly 360 something years, almost close to 400 years.
Yeah.
So in history, we have to go through a timeline in the sequencing of events. We come into 1816 or but that is not supported by history, because by 1446, Nyomi laid a claim to that island to the extent that they attacked Momo Nata on that island. So that means Nyomi may have some rights to that island in 1446.
Right.
So that's one aspect that I think we may want to talk about. To Stoko, Nyomi may also have a right. And then when the island was bought in 1816 by Combo had the Tuabola in 1816, the British. There is also an account that I read called the king of Nyomi, who was Kolimankamane, refused the sale of the land to the British. That is in the books. Although we are told that Komonkole Awafe, but in reality, Nyomi refused the sale. I have those evidences here, and then if people want, I can, provide the reference materials. They can buy it and look at it. But there is evidence in Donald Raidla Buko Nyinkono, the Gambia, and a small place in West Africa, indicates the Nyomi king refused the sale, and that Nyomi king, we know him. He was Kolimankamane.
Kolimankamane, yeah.
He was the king in 1815 up to 1823. And in fact, that explains why, when the British came, Mane Kundankol Man Sefia no Nyomi kono, because the Mane clan refused British expansion in Nyomi. And as a result, some other groups like the Sonkos were favored in becoming the chiefs. And that's why you have so many chiefs coming from Sonkokunda rather than coming from Manekunda. Because Manel refused the British an expansion into itola ere nyinkon when it was Mansala wato men. Bautumo Nyomi, Manshakara no turu Jame Kundale, and Manekunda Nkol ni Sonkol, Nilaka Manshakala, Ika Sinsinda. So that is also one evidence. And in fact, there is evidence the British had to go to Nyomi to talk to Mansa Koli Mankamane and he was also paid. So not only was Tumani Bojang paid in Kombo, but the king in Nyomi was also paid. So now we want to ask this question: why did the British also pay the king of Nyomi?
Well, that's questionable.
That's an important question to ask, because Nyomi has no claim to the island. Then I didn't see any reason why Tumani Bojang did not insist on Nyomi Manyana Fensotology. So the idea that the island belonged to Kombo, to me, has a lot of holes. I don't want to buy that 100%. It may have been the case later on in history, but at the beginning, it was a land and territory that belonged to Nyomi, as evidenced by written records, as early as 1446. That is not 1816. Ndolngamen karanda bukol kon 1816 ne bije ko Tumani Bojang ne awafi, but before Tumani Bojang in 1446, it was the Nyominkas that claimed the right to the island.
Right.
And that is supported by the book on Donald Wright. That's also the same story that was narrated by Kemo Kuyate, a well-known Gambian Jali from Sabah.
Right.
And in fact, according to another article that I read recently, which was by J.H. Jarrett, which was published in 1951, when you indicate when they were buying the island, they were in 1783, Molebenu on the island in 1783, initially before the island of Wafila in 1816. And according to him, those people left after 1816, but that book did not explain where they went. But then another book, by Donald Wright. Donald Wright said they left the island, and then after they sold it to the British in 1816. The second book by Jarrett said the people that were on the island came from Nyomi.
So Banjul settlers, the first settlers, they are more meaningful settled that they are from the Nyomi. Then is what you're saying?
Yes. That is my theory, that land belonged to Nyomi. It may have changed hands along the way to Kombo, but as early as 1446, it was Nyomi. So how it changed hands from 1446 from Nyomi to Kombo in 1816, I just don't know. But there is evidence to show by 1446 that land was controlled by Nyomi. So we can say without doubt that Nyomi had an influence in that island well before the Kombonkas did. And then also, when they sold the land in 1816, Nyomi refused the sale. We are not taught this in history, but I have that evidence. Nyomi refused the sale, and the British had to go across to Nyomi to talk to the king to allow them to settle on that island.
Yeah, but who tried to sell this? Jamal is it the Kombonkas or?
Yes, they said it was Tumani Bojang. But there are two Tumani Bojangs in Kombo.
Okay.
And there's a senior Tumani Bojang, there's a junior Tumani Bojang.
Right.
The senior Tumani Bojang wale Alano Nyiwafi in 1816. The junior Tumani Bojang wale letter of Safenun to the governor. If they wanted, that was when the British wanted to exchange Banjul for a French territory. So the second Tumani Bojang, that was in 1870, wale letter of Safenun to the governor, Katandalako. If you no longer want the land, na forefathers gave you, I want you to give us our land back. So people should not confuse these two Tumani Bojang. They're two different ones. There is a
Where
Tumani
are they
Bojang,
all from? In Tumani Bojang floor, where are they from? Do you know?
They are all from Yundum.
Oh, Yundum, okay.
Yeah. The 1816 Tumani Bojang is the senior one. Wale Alano Nyiwafi. And then maybe I want to provide a list of the people, many alonko, wale Keno Nyiwafi, who were present when the land was being sold in 1816.
Right.
Now, many are Wafi. From the list I have here, it was Tumani Bojang of Kombo, who was the king.
Which is the Kombo Yundum then,
yes.
Yeah? All right, go on. Yeah, go on.
Then there was Ansumana Jata was there, which most likely was from Busumbala. Was Jatal Besirun Jelun, Jatal Le Bojang Sabang in Kombo. My Sabora Jata Kunda, then he went to Bojang Kunda. Then there was this Madi Mariama from Yundum, Obra Yundum. That's what his name was. That's the only name they provided.
Yeah.
That was Ansumana Sise, who was the Alcalo of Mandinari.
Right.
was also present. We bring I don't know why for that woman. Because
Right.
Maninari Alcalo Mel BJ, Mel Sita Sise Kundankole Sadon law. They got the land from the king of Combo. Wofana Sise Kundankole there from Pakao. Inara jele moro lo nun talibolo matinu ay mansan indi muso le kurande no ajara kabra ajara akende ada mansanata di muso diala a nyini muso
Right.
ana inarana keno diala kay ko si sid la so même felendi si sije atele mandina sa do nyillo wala na hani bi if you go to mandinare it is the CCs that are the alcalos there. Initially there were some Bojans that moved from Yundum. That's a whole long story. I don't want to talk about that now.
Yeah,
but
yeah. If we want to, yeah. If you want to stick to with Banjul for now, yeah.
Yes, but it's important, why some of these people are showing up on the list.
Okay.
So there was also Fode Ansumana Munang. He was one of the people that were present when they were selling the island. Some of the other attendants that were there was Majibo Sise.
Yeah.
Bas Butoko, who Konton Sifalante Mamol Jodekiri side. Bas Butoko was there. Yeah. Fode Bakari was there.
Yeah.
Musa Chanang was there.
Yeah.
Kasi Kunkong of Konton from Mamero Sawol Bekiri side. There was Samba Deba most likely because Samba Deba.
Okay.
Then there was the Alcalo of Bijulo and Sumana Jata was there. Yalam Bijulo, Busumbala town Bijulo. You have a Jata last name in Bijulo. Bijulo belongs to Busumbala. Busumbala Kunkolo. So the Alcalo in 1816 in Busumbala in Bijulo.
Yeah, but if you say that Dembo, that might bring a bit of conflict from thing because there's a lot of fixed people from Sukuta. They're saying Bijulo belongs to Sukuta. I don't know. We'll come to that. We'll get to that.
Traditionally Bijulo to nyumvang ila kantarla mem bije wol to bijiti.
Right.
So ikako biji itasi lo jang aninsole bawli kan ninsole diano kan ninsole kanda. Busumbala ta mujeti ila kantarla le bije the name of kantarla nyu fulolo ma to bijilet. Biji is a very common Fulani name, traditional Fulani name. Sa man siya bagay, but it used to be very common within the Firdu community. Fulani ethnic group Bijilo to shata no akono bagay biji. So wale o biji na but that land belongs to Busumbala.
Okay.
Jata kunankole tamjir. Wala na the Alcalo even in 1816 was a Jata guy. They owned the place.
Right.
And then the last one that was there was the Alcalo of Bakau. Yakijele Bakong, but that is Bakau.
Bakau, yeah, okay.
Bakau Alcalo was also present. These were the people, Menalongo, they were present when the island was sold in 1816. Now, there have been different stories as to how much it was sold for. According to Kemo Kuyatela accounts from Saba, Wokoloko, they sold it for 5 baskets of 2 shillings.
You're joking? That was the cost of Banjul?
Yeah, 5 baskets of 2 shillings. From that account.
2 shillings, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but according to Gray, in the history of the Gambia, Banjul was negotiated for £75 sterling.
Okay.
That's what Gray reported, £75 sterling, we all report. But in that other book, which is the Oral Traditions from Gambia, Volume 1, 1979,
right,
indicated there were 5 baskets of funko, silver, Banjul Island or Sanwal.
So these are the 3. Okay, go on, yeah, go on.
Yeah, and I also saw someone who wrote that it was sold for £100 and some rum and $1 was involved in the amount that the island was sold for. But whatever the case was, the island was sold by the king of Kombo, but then the king of Nyomi also was paid for the sale. So it's possible that both states had some influence. And this is why in 1977, like I published a few days ago, Serekunda and Kombo were part of one constituency.
Okay.
So which is very strange how Serekunda Bekela connected to Nyomi as one constituency. So in 1977, they were separated and then Kombo was created as a district of its own where Eela owned MP so in 1977. After that, Ngamera, one MP follow Melorian was one Mr. Jata. He won the election.
Yeah, did you say 1977, Dembo? Did you say 1977?
1977, yes, combining Nyomi Bonde Nyobala. But they were administratively under one district.
Okay.
So 1977, they were separated, then they went their own way. Combo went the other side, and then Nyomi continued to stay as it is.
So, and then Banjul was under the rule of who then?
In 1816.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shortly before we get to 1816, along the way, there are accounts called the earliest name that was recorded for that island, Tengamenje, was called Banyon Point.
Banyon Point.
Banyon Point. That was in 1684. 1684, there was this group of English merchants who were called the RAC, which is the Royal African Company. These were the earliest British merchants in Gambia, and they had trading factories on the island, which means they were trading in slaves.
Okay.
There were slaves on the island. They were selling in 1864, and those evidences, Farang, I would provide them if people are interested to know. There are nominal rolls in the accounts and in the books, which was the Hyolit Society in the UK, where they are published. And you know, it's something that we can also talk about. But then that was the oldest name. That was Banyan Point. And you know where Banyan Point is?
No.
Banyan Point is present day Half Die.
Oh, okay. So
the earliest settled area of settlement on the island was Half Die.
So Banjul originally is called Banyo Point, and the first earliest settlement. The earliest settlement for Banjul is Afdai.
Yes.
How does that became about?
Afdai came as a result of a cholera outbreak during the colonial times in the 1800s, and almost half of the population was wiped out. Right. People were dying in their hundreds. So was Sanyi Menkaraje, that disease outbreak Menkaraje killed a lot of people, and then the area then became called Half Die because half of them died.
So if we want to come to a conclusion here, Dembo, would we say Banjul belongs to Kombo or Banjul belongs to Nyomi?
I would say Banjul belongs to Nyomi initially.
Okay.
That's my thesis, because the earliest ownership in Tengamenje was 1446, and that is older than 1816.
Okay.
So along the way, something may have changed hands. How, I don't know, but the earliest record so far is 1446, and that was the Nyominkas attacking the Portuguese by landing on that island. And initially, we didn't know more at the time raidings. And as a result, the Nyominkas attacked them, and they killed 21 out of 28. Those records are there. You know, there are reference materials that will show yes, that situation happened. And so therefore, since that's the oldest and the earliest I could find, I will hold on to Nyomi, because the 1816 is very recent.
Yes.
So which was
I don't know if you want to make some connection there, to connect some dots and I's there, Dembo. The first settlers in Banjul.
Yes.
Before we get to that.
Yeah, before you want us to talk about the first settlers?
Yeah, no, we can carry on like you're going on, you know, and then for water, you know, we need to know that bit as well, because that's very important, you know.
Yeah, so like I said, the earliest records in Tengamenje that showed more were living there was the accounts of Nuno Tristão. Nuno Tristão in 1446 said there was a settlement on the island. And it was because he was getting to that island on Nyomi attack. I want to believe that because of it belonged to Nyomi, that's why Nyomi attacked. If Nyomi didn't own the place, then Nyomi had no reason to cross the Atlantic, Kanao Kulumbaina Noma, onto the island of Banjul, K attacked and killed 21 out of the 27 sailors that came from Portugal. And if anybody is able to provide any date earlier than 1446, that Komonkol also had an influence there, then I will be able to change my position. But as far as the written records show, 1446 is the earliest contact with the Portuguese. Alviso Caramusco came later, 1455. That was 9 years later. So Alviso is not the first this time to change our history books. That's We're teaching that in our syllabus, but it's not correct. It was Nuno Tristão that was there. And in fact, it was not even Nuno Tristão, it was the French merchants of Dieppe in Paris, in France, who were the first people to arrive on our shores in 1382. They extensively traveled around the river Gambia itself. They have those accounts are there. So which means that even Nuno Tristão is late. The earliest contact we are able to find out are the French. The French were the first people to come in. They only refixed certain law. Places like Accra in Ghana, places like the Elmina Castle, which was named, in fact, the Elmina Castle used to be called the Bastion de France. Bastion de France, which was a French name. So it's only Elmina Nindiala, and it was called the Rio de Fresco, which was refused, later became that. So obviously the French have been there 100 years before the Portuguese came. The English came in 1588 onto that island, into what is now the Gambia, being part of the business was 1588. The French were there around 1382. The Portuguese came in 1446. The British came in 1588. So the British were basically the last group to arrive. So I would say, based on the accounts of Nuno Tristão, that the island belonged to Nyomi. And in fact, even in 1816, Kabrin Tuan Boja caught the island on Wafi. The king of Nyomi refused the sale. Not that balana.
Yeah, but Nyomi got a share in this. Nyomi says, yeah, okay.
Yes. Nyomi insisted to sell the kala, and the king that refused it was called Kolimankamane. He was the king of Nyomi from 1815 to 1823.
I think Netamas is listening. Neta Butungyamwele Kodi. Yes, coming into Banjul now, Banjul Fango, you got settlers there. So we would like to know, Dembo, who are the first settlers in Banjul?
Yes, the first settlers are Nyomingas. Nyomi Lebestirunje. But then when the island was sold in 1816, and part of the reason why we might want to find out why was the island bought in the first place?
Yes, why not?
After the Treaty of Versailles in 1783, between France and the UK and Britain, there was an agreement that gave the British recognition to the banks of the River Gambia. So when that happened, and by the 1776 American independence, Karawato Menda, Britain lost a lot of territory. And so they wanted to exert their influence somewhere else. They wanted access to trade, businesses. Slavery was going on. At the time, they didn't ban slavery in 1776. Slavery was not even banned until 1807.
Okay.
The slavery law was assented to on March 25th, 1807, but the law did not take effect until January 1st, 1808. Officially, the Slave Trade Abolition Act took effect on January 1st, 1808, but it was signed in 1807, March 25th. When that happened, they also had an agreement in 1814. As a result of the Treaty of Versailles between the French and the British, in 1814, there was another agreement between the French and the British, giving the French the right to the island of Gore. At the time, British will be sitting on Gore Island. So that was the reason why Captain Grant had to leave Gore Island to come to Banjul, because already there is an agreement signed that the British need to leave Gore Island as part of an agreement to the banks of the river, which was then approved in 1783 under the Treaty of Versailles. So as a result, they had to find a place. So Captain Grant was given an order by Charles McCarthy to go and find a place where they could settle slave trade. He came to James Island and realized that James Island was already ravaged by the French, because the French, took over James Island about 4 times. There were 4 battles that were fought on James Island, and each of those 4 ones the French took over. So the island was, the buildings that were there were basically all destroyed. It was not suitable for habitation. So Captain Grant decided to move further to go and negotiate for the island called Banjul. At that time, it was not Banjul. The only name at that time that would have been known officially would have been Banyan Point.
Banyan Point, okay,
that was the earliest name that was there. But from the accounts, they said, ko ye mol tarnu on the island, the mol bijile.
Yeah.
There were people living on the island, and there were three books I read. One of the books by Donald Wright indicated that Mol Bijel by 1783, but they left the island. He didn't tell us where they went. The article by J.H. Barrett, which was published in 1951, told us they left, but they told us they were from Nyomi. Mol Mel Bolta Island after ya wife water men because Modol Bijel Mel Kamfatanu, and they were Nyominkas. According to J.H. Barrett. Well, Kamfatal, why the island was sold, they left. But J.H. Barrett Fana Mafo Moleko, where they left. The third book by John Morgan told us that there were people there, told us that people left the island, but he also told us that they went to a new settlement called Bakoko.
Oh, okay.
Which is Bakau.
Right.
So by those accounts, Banjul is older than Bakau.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Melbenum Banjul Island on Yunkono, they comforted about the sale, and they left the island and then decided to go to a new settlement called Bakau. Bakoko Ayolof.
So those
Bako
people
in Mandinka. Yeah, Bako in Mandinka. Okay, go ahead.
Now what I was saying, because the people there, you were saying this guy from Gore in Senegal, you know, will not nampurka settle je malon jamallo wolte wole jamale taraje kotum lafa min lon na nyomin kolle follow settle taje. So Banjul belongs to the Nyominkas. And then initially by Komongkola Nata Labangol Bulu. So this guy you're about Mimbotanam for Gore in Senegal, Purka settle je, will CJ?
Yes, I will get to that just brief in a minute. So Kabrini Nyominkol member island they left.
Yeah.
Because according to these three books, they didn't like the sale. Which most likely made Balantano Nyominkol Damana Balantano the sale of the island. Like I said, the Nyomi king, Koli Mankamani, refused the sale of the island. In fact, in another oral account, which is on the Oral Traditions from Gambia, Volume 2, that account, which was conducted by, I think, University of Ohio, I think it was in 1975, that book says the king of Kombo, I mol kinu nyomi mansakande kadani pour isi alano nyi wafino. And part of it reason Mendi was because nya yela faji wafila. Business on you at that time, all the business was in Nyomi, in Bara. Bara Lomu, Jufre, Albreda, most of the European settlers will be in Wallatuno. So you combo book access to business funi bate. Nima bate no you book access to the European goods.
Yeah.
Because all the merchants were in Nyomi. So it will find left a part of their reason was if they sold that area, that would mean Western activity will come to the island. They don't have to cross the river anymore, the Atlantic anymore to go to Nyomi to buy stuff.
Yeah.
So they could also easily stay, just Denton Bridge able to cross or Barinding Membiji, near Juanota city no with less than 5 minutes, and then you walk up to Banjul and buy whatever you wanted to buy. So along the way, Kabiri Walker told me then they decided, because Captain Grant was a commandant, he was an engineer in the British Army. And Banjul, after the Battle of Waterloo, when the British won the war against Napoleon, at the Battle of Waterloo, England had a lot of power and influence. So Captain Grant was sent to come to Banjul because they had to leave Gore. Because remember, by the 1814 agreement between the French and the British, Gore was to go back to the French. So that means they had to leave. Yeah, they still have to leave. And then because they had to leave, they had to find a place. So then they had to come along. And I need to provide a list of people many along in Captain Grant Nimenul Nata. I think it might be interesting, at least people know. Again? Yeah, it's Yeah, Captain Grant Benakan Tuomene, he came Adama Manna. He didn't come alone. In 1816, when he came, from the records that I was able to find.
Yeah.
Somebody's calling me here. Sorry about it. Somebody just.
Yeah, why not? Can you let them move, man? I'll them move.
Yeah, so Captain Grant came with not only him, another boss, Kafa, Ensign Adams. Unfortunately, in the books, people don't talk about him, but he was Captain Grant Lekebalo. Ensign Adams was there. He was an assistant surgeon. He was a medical personnel. He was an assistant surgeon. He came with Captain Grant. He also came with 50 soldiers to the island, part of the African Corps. And then he also came with 24 Africans from Gore. These were the initial people that populated the island in 1816. It was Captain Grant with the surgeon that he came with, Adams, with 50 soldiers of the African Corps and 24 Africans from Gore.
Right. But ni hakilo bakan dembo iko dulani ya wafu minni ya wolledu wata wolbe mundo.
Ngolo for the third book in Kamem for by John Morgan. John Morgan ko will come fatally alano nyumbula. They left.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
John Morgan arrived in Banjul in 1821, 5 years after Yawafi Watomena. So obviously he has a first-hand information. It may not be exactly first-hand, but Femfenketa Sanjilulu Commando or history manukum.
Yeah.
So he was there almost at the time when after the sale occurred. So that's how he was able to know Menul Bijinun, they moved to a place called Bakoko. That's what he wrote.
Right.
Bakoko is what is Bakau. In Mandinka County, Niko Bako, what when you Bakomala, at the other side of the bank, the river bank.
Yes.
So it had a Bakole. Because it was an island, so near Banyim Cross, it had a Bakomale.
Yes.
Bakomale became Bakau from those accounts. And then another reason why I want to believe the island still belonged to Nyomi, because many follow Mansiata Bakau Kano, where the Jammers.
Oh, the same Jammers again, yeah?
Yes, the same Jammers from Nyomi.
Okay.
Yeah, you can talk to people in Bakau if they're listening or they're watching, they know that. Mansa follow men sotoje, se follow men sotoje in 1894, Bakau Ngolo.
Right.
So how come it was not the Bojans?
Oh yeah, because the Bojans, it's only Nyomi to sell the land. Yeah, that's strange. That's interesting. That.
Yeah, that's an evidence. Jamekunnankol were the first chiefs there in 1894. So if they didn't have any control to Bakau or any ownership in terms of the settlement there, they could not have been the chief. Because ngambenga lono kon adol konon ka sinyamento mele sabandirol ke mele mararol ke wala tam lan nyinte, and especially when another manshaya, they don't joke with it. They don't easily give up manshaya to anybody, just like that. So we want to ask the question, why was it not the Bojans? And we know in Combo there was never any influence of the Jammers. Nothing long in Combo history. Maybe if you go to Fonyi.
So why is that hidden? Because Jamme seems to be a very powerful name in that country.
Yes.
So name, sorry.
They are everywhere. You'll find them in Badibu, you'll find them in Nyomi, you'll find them in Combo, you'll find them in Fonyi.
In Gunjur as well.
And Gunjur as well, yeah. So these were the people mele alonium popular. The 24 Africans they were artisans. They came from Gore. Initially Nada. The number may have increased along the way, but Captain Grant Benatomen on that island, they signed the sale on April 23rd, 1816.
Okay.
So last Tuesday, Banjul 203 years old, anniversary.
Okay.
That was his birthday. And very interestingly for us, it was also April 24th that we became a republic. So we got onto colonial administration in April 23rd, and then April 24th, we became a republic. Almost exactly by date and month.
Yes. Still, Hanisai, Banjul is still called Banio Point. So at
Yes.
what point like started to call Banjul, and then at what point like it started going overcrowded, like people start knowing that this is a settlement, this place could be a settlement, and in most of somebody know Janani was evil. At what point like Wobe all that started?
Yeah, Yalo Captain Grant, his background is a military engineer.
Okay.
So that was the reason why Yatinata Nunje, because Banjul Watola Potoshiata Nunje Bakil was very swampy. But the area Mianko was very sandy, was what was correct, Banyan Point, and that's what you call today Half Die. In that Half Die area, there used to be a market in those days, Kavmeko Marse Musante, that used to be there. That's where the current Marine Department was.
Marse?
Musante.
Okay. Well, what sort of language is that? Oh, Mukanyamale.
Surakalo.
Okay. Or the Suraka of an nene so the jela de for Surwan Levin. How did that come about? How did that come about?
Yeah, that was in 1816 when people migrated from Gore with Captain Grant, because Gore at the time was under the British. In fact, a lot of Ndola history Jamal Bije there in Senegal. They're in the Senegalese archives because the British were based in Gore for many, many years. So as a result, obviously, any more movement from Senegal, Kana Alenonin populate. So that's how the wall of language came into Banjul. But then there's also this issue about why I still believe Nyomi owns Banjul.
Yeah.
Ask anybody in Bakau. Inyininga Nyomi nkola sito membe Bakau abe muntole.
Oh gosh, very interesting. Blab, and where it was interesting, that's where Atata. Dembo, because this is interesting, try and get hold of Dembo once again. Stop calling Dembo, man. We lost Dembo there due to some, I think it's got to do with connection running cold. But they're trying to get hold of Dembo. I continue from Adam to Dame. History of Banjul, the Gambia. The first settlers, Jamal follow Sita J, Jamal and Tarata J, come follow for the J. Banjul to Nyata. Dembo, yes, welcome back.
Yes, and I'm back. Mbenu stop tanun damendunu was Bakaula Sito. Sita Juo Mbije.
Yes.
There is an oral account in Bakau. If you ask people about Bakau, because there is an oral tradition that says ko Sita Juo Atlantico awututanam from Nyomi across the Atlantic, another tutu in Bakau.
How did that happen?
Well, it's a folklore, but that was supposed to be following the Jame family.
Okay.
So even though I may not totally agree with Sita Juosi Wutunole from Nyomi, I back cross I not to Afaye in Banjul, sorry, in Bakau.
Okay,
I think it's a metaphorical statement to so-called establishing a right to ownership. Right. And also establishing a migration trail. Because Nyomi sitole botana Nyomi, I back kuntunang e kanata tutu Afaye Bakau badala. Asito bije, ask people from Bakau. Bakau Golbe Lamwe Kanjane, many Bakau history, they would have heard the story. And that Sito was following the Nyominkas. So obviously now you can see the migration trail from Nyomi to the island of Banjul. After it was sold in 1816, people got mad, they left, they founded a settlement called Bakau. And then there was a Nyomi Sito that was implanted in Bakau. So these three books cannot lie. They were written at different times. And one of them, who came in just 5 years after Island Onyuwafi, also confirmed that Molmen Bijenu. Yeah, Bakar Konte Ndemba Nani, something like that. It probably may be the Sitoni itself. But there is this story of this baobab tree that left Nyomi and came and implanted itself in Bakau. Ikabe Bakau Badala Mafala. Why it is, I don't know. But that's also an evidence. Even among a reality, for Sita Jobe back, Gutula Failana back cross, and Alo Bakau. At least it's so cool. There is some evidence of a migration trail. Sometimes the more liberal history for they speak in codes.
Yeah.
So it may not necessarily be because Sita Juo can last for over 600 years. You know, Sitoka Mela is one of the oldest trees me can make dunia kono bakela. If they have access to water and all that stuff, Sitoka me bakela. So that is also showing, laying a claim. And I'm asking the people of Bakau, Munatin, stay follow. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's that Nyomi to me has a lot of claim to that island.
Right. So Captain Grant Biratanang, I think Minibotanang Gore, it all where do they settle Tamuntola? I mean, how did that come about, Dembo?
Yes, it settled at Damento. They settled at the same place because in like I said, in 1684, there were British merchants. The RAC were there. The Royal African Company was there, and they were based at Banjul Point. But Captain Grant Nada, ate todo di island ola mem manke batos. Yalla to ngam men kana history bu wol kono. Iko kabini nada island ñun tola batos la.
Okay. Yeah. That's what about
That's not true.
Okay. What is right then?
The name that Captain Grant gave to that settlement in Besirin Damendo was called Leopold.
Okay.
And Leopold told the island, not Batos.
So from Banjul Point is Leopold now, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
So it had the name Leopold in 1816.
Okay.
Then island owning another tola St. Mary's Island. Well, I had to be island owning and name man change. Even though we changed our capital city to Banjul, the island still called St. Mary's Island. I don't think we changed the name of the island.
Okay.
So when that happened, it was our boss, Charles McCarthy, was not happy with the name Leopold. He was the one who changed the name from Leopold to Batos.
Okay.
Yeah, so the initial
how does the name Batos came about?
Yeah, it was named after the colony secretary for colonies. All of Batos.
Has it got a meaning? Has it got a meaning? Yeah, I mean, Batos.
I was 12 told him.
Right.
Yeah, he was then the secretary to the colonies. Yeah, told her, I found the boss no what. More like if you say the foreign minister.
Oh, okay.
At the time. Yeah, so the British foreign minister at the time, yeah, told her, he was Albatos. So at the Fanayata, I told her. So to our dinner at that time, like Kebal, it was settled Tolela back. And that's how when Captain Grant came, Banjula Silol Mill became majority of the Silol Mill be Banjul Kono. I told her after his own bosses at the Battle of Waterloo. Most of those were Wellington Mule, where the Duke of Wellington Mule, they led the army against Napoleon. You know, Wellington Street Mule, Tola Wolela, Karanyin, Lancaster Mule, and other places, and Grant Street was named after himself. So most of the street names we were there were all names of military generals at the Battle of Waterloo. So I Kebal compensated Wolela. And that was, I don't know how he used the name Leopold, because I'm trying to find out. Leopold seems to be more of a French name than anything else.
It sounds like.
Yeah, but then Captain Grant gave the encampment name as Leopold. He didn't call it Batos. It was Charles McCarthy who insisted after Torre Kolako the name should be changed to Batos. So Charles McCarthy was the one who changed it to Batos. But so initially we had Banjul Point.
Yeah, and then
we had
Leopold.
We had Leopold.
St. Mary's Island.
We had St. Mary. Oh, that's the name of the island. Woman changed. I think that is still there. That St. Mary's Island never changed. So the settlement changed from Banjul Point to Leopold to Batos.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we had Banjul.
How does Banjul came about, Dembo? Banjul Natanyadile.
Yeah, based on Mol, which I think everybody knows, it's a familiar storyline. that ko to abol naraje wato men meltare je nyinin kale albe munale ko to be banjulo te kanja. So the bamboo stick in funko rope chinge kamen tenu wulo kono je. That became a corrupted name of Banjulo became Banjul.
Yeah, Banjulo, where does that name derive from? Which tribe? What language is that?
Well, if you say Bango Julo in Mandinka is a rope.
So Banjul is been named after a man. It's a Mandinka language. Then are you trying to say? Oh.
Yes. From what I can establish, ni ko ibe Julo la nyinin kanje Mandingol da manaka fu Julo.
Yes.
Ni suru account ba for boom.
Yeah, because then what I don't get at this point, because it's like the people there bring when they sold this plate in Atanang, they come with some Senegalese, and then this Senegalese from Gore, so bring your Minkol Taraje, Bladola be somewhere in Banjul after I call Marse something, Marse Naka?
Marse Musande.
So Marse Muzana, and then that means these people have been there already, will be yellow already. So
no, Marse Musande is very recent. That's a recent market.
So before that, Banjul came, Banjul Kona before Marse Nying, Kodi?
Oh yeah. That's Marse Musande is in the colonial times.
Because what I'm trying to get to here is we want to know the sequence. You understand? So Ibajala Momo say Illo Dulalon no Nyaming. Coming from Leopold and other St. Mary's and in Mindinate in Ataje Wato Mina Fujanni Wolkana Yatarale, Nimolbe la Banjul Teolabang.
Yes, because there were people living on the island. And in fact, in the oral traditions from Gambia, Bukoning indicates from one of the elders in Nyomi indicated ko ika senola kijeno, ila farol bijeno, ikatale kana.
So these militaries, what role have they? These militaries and these people from Gore, what role have they?
Well, no, they came in because already British Olema, and that's how the British were able to come over from Gore, because they lost Gore already. So they lost Gore, and in the Treaty of 1814, in France, the agreement was signed that they have to leave Gore. So they have no place; they have to leave. So they left. So after they left, then they had to get a place. One in Atana, Captain Grant decided Otumo initially Alpha James Island. But then he realized that James Island wasn't suitable. So he decided to come over. Kenedo Jube is suitable to be able to stop the slave trade. That was one of the reasons why they came in, was to stop the slave trade. In fact, I think we skipped that. We didn't explain why they wanted to come in. But initially, when they came, they came basically to stop the slave trade. And Banyan Point, which is half there, seems to be the closest point on the northern side of the river heading towards Nyomi. So that way, half that area is closer to Nyomi. If you look at the map of Banjul, going towards Bara. That's why you have the ferries there, because that's the shortest point.
Yeah.
So if a company were to know, so that they can stop the ship coming from the interior, like from maybe Bolonkono Kana, or maybe from Badibu or from Fonyi Mafal through Bintang Creek. So that's how they settled there, and then were able to stop a lot of those slave ships. And in fact, there are many accounts of, Kulunjamal Melanko, they stopped many of them. Some of them went as far as Fonyi. Some of them, they followed them all the way to Bintang Creek. But effectively, after they controlled Halfdai, it was recorded that most of the slaves out of Banjul, out of Gambia, stopped. So they were able to control the slave trade, and bring some sanity to it.
Right. So, so we would say, would they come to a conclusion to say the first settlers in Banjul are the Nyominkas, and the Nyominkas got this after British Wafunying Angalelia, Walnathananje. So when does this Mr. Grant came to Banjul? Which year was this, Dembo?
1816.
1816. And then the name was changed to Banjul. Which year, do you know?
Well, the name, I think it was in 1973, officially. I think 1970? Yeah, 1970, I think officially we changed it to Banjul.
From Batos?
Yes.
Yeah, but how does that changes came about? Changes ni nata nyadi la dembo.
Yeah, because in 1970, Langana Republican status.
Okay.
You know, we became a republic on April 24th. So a lot of things started changing. We had the right to change anything. In 1965, we had just a semi-nominal independence law. I don't call it.
Yeah.
Sorry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, personally, I mean, I think, you know, Muka April 24th celebrate, but I think it's important that we need to celebrate it because it's the day, April 24th is the day when we had full independence. We had the rights to choose our friends. We had the right to do anything on our own. But tomorrow, then we changed everything. We changed, you know, we had a constitution that, you know, we had our entity.
Yeah, you're getting some income. Yeah.
Yeah, but by 1965, we just have a nominal independence. That's all we had.
So, because if you look at Banjul, at the current settlement, Banjul, the way the settlement is like, how does this recent settlement not delay? You know, like, you know, the people who occupy the land now, how did it happen to be the people who are there now? If you want to help us out, Dembo.
Yeah, look, effectively, when the British came, they came along with people from Gore. Yeah. And obviously, there were also people who came from Nyomi too as well, because Kabring, they came into the island. That means slavery was stopped. If you got to Banjul, you were a free man, because the Union Jack was there and slavery was abolished on the island. And there were a lot of people that were coming from Nyomi, people coming from Kombo onto the island also to be able to have their freedom. In fact, as a result, just like Georgetown, the latter formed in Nyameng, Banjul was also on the same reasons was settled to stop the slave trade. And along the way, that is just by my Bara Ferioka Low Diamond to Mafala, near Bate Nyom from Banjul. If you look on your left side, you will see Fort Bullen.
Yes.
Now that Fort Bullen in 1826, a ceded mile from the king, they bought it from the king so that they can have protection to the coastline. 1 mile in, that's why they call it the ceded mile. In that ceded mile, there was a Sato Barwick Town. Barwick Town was just like Georgetown. You know, people were running from, especially during the Marabu Wars in the 1860s. Molka Borna in Salom, in Badibu, through some of the forces of Amer Fall, people of like Maba Jahunyul, you know, they were all involved in the jihadist movement in Badibu, in Nyoro, in Fulado. People like Matar Sisenyul, they were all, you know, involved in it. For the Kabadumbe Anyul, you know, Musa Molonyul, all of them were involved in those religious, you know, Kelol Melka Kenunje. So there were a lot of refugees that were being created during those wars, during those times. So Barwick Town was established so that refugees Melka Borna from Salom, from Badibu, from Nyomi areas, and all the way from Nyoro or from Rib, which used to be the old name for Badibu, you know, Jamal Kananunjeno. So it was a refuge center. Out of that place, Lajorngone was fighting in with Mabajahu. Then that was when he sent his brother, Samba Koke, Puraina Kirimungu Sala Banyu. But Samba Koke never went back. He stayed in Nyomi. I think that was a Bantang killing or something like that. There was a forest there. It started. But Kabring Dina Kebal Nata, he attacked against Samba Koke. That was when the British government also came to help him. But Samba Kokela brother, who was called Sair Job, some of them crossed over to Barwick Town. From Barwick Town, people were coming to Banjul, and then he continued to form what later became Serakunda. But the Bayalako, one interesting thing about the island itself was Kabring Ia Sang in 1816, they were bringing in a lot of freed slaves from the Atlantic. Near Melul Muta, the processing center used to be where the current Albert Market was. Freed slaves will be camping world. That was a big camp there.
Yeah.
So Molbek to near process, then Dolly see Satakono, it will process, it will key Georgetown. So the first batch that came from Sierra Leone, about 4,000 of them, when they arrived in Banjul, 2,800 stayed in Banjul, 1,200 were sent to Georgetown to settle that island in 1823. So initially it was purposely bought to stop the slave trade. That was the original intentions of buying the island.
So the original intention for buying Banjul was for that. getting some pixelation there. We'll open the phone lines if you have any questions later, sometime in about 5 minutes. The telephone will open the phone lines for your questions and answers right here. Hey, Dembo, so if you would say settlement, who would you say? Iba follow no Jamal mo follow the ministry to Banjul.
Well, effectively, ni ko mel follow sita je ndenga menye mba follow nyomi ngole follow sita je.
If you want to come down the tribal line, Iba follow Jamal le follow Musila Altijeoto.
That would be difficult to the extent because if you look at the composition of Nyomi itself, Meluye Mansial ke Nyomi kono Manel Lomu aning Jamel aning Sonkol.
Okay.
But there were also other ethnic groups that were also in Nyomi itself, which were some Serere groups there. For some part, there were a lot of some Fulani groups were involved who maybe kind of a sensitive history. You don't want to talk about it now, but you know, it's there are some people who have certain last names, Minalonko. They were not original last names that were attached to them. So it would be difficult to know exactly composition on Nyominko, composition on Mennata. But you can safely say, you know, Maninkol were there. And maybe, depending on what time in history, it may be possible, because at some point, Nyomi was also under Salum, which were some Serere. Part of Nyomi at some point was occupied by Salum. And Nyomi had to go to war against Salum to get their independence from Salum. So, but where Salum as a state in itself, you know, a lot of the accounts in Melje were around the 1300s when the Gelawar dynasty started coming in, and then people like Salum Swarenyul were helping them to win their war against for El Banalum or something like that. So I would say Nyomi is predominantly at the time Melbe Mansiala Nunje Maninkole Saregon. Basically, they were James, they were Manes, they were Sonkos. So, but in the composition of Melbe Tarlaje exactly, if you take that as a basis, then you can say there is a very likelihood that Melbe Silaje Bekala Mandinkole.
Yeah, because the Banjulo, Dolbe Banjul Teola, I don't know. How would you help us out with that?
Of course, yes. If you go by the name as to how the name Banjulo came about, which is Julo is essentially a Mandinka name, and the fact that in Nyomi you had the ruling families, they were Mandinkas, the Sonkos, the James, and the what's it called again, the Manes. You can safely say, and the contact with the person, whoever contacted the Europeans and said Kombe Banjulu Teola, spoke in a language that was in Mandinka. Either he knew Mandinka too well, or he was a Mandinka by himself, by ethnicity. So you can safely say Menna Diamuta, most likely a Mandinka.
Yeah, but looking at it coming to fast forward now, Sain Dembo, if you look at the settlement now in Banjul, it doesn't look like that.
Yes.
What caused that?
Yeah, obviously, when people started migrating, migration was coming basically from one end. It was initially coming from Gore. And over time, other people also joined the people on the island. For example, like I said, there were some people who came from Combo. There were some people who came from Nyomi, some as far as Salom, you know, to come and populate the island. So gradually, the numbers will change, the composition will change, the origins will change. Instead of having only people from Gore, initially, Mel Nata, apart from a Mel Tariji, Mel followed Nata of the Africans, they were from Gore. But over time, people came from Badibu, people came from Nyomi, people came from Salom, people came from everywhere else. And if you go to places like Tobacco Road area, you find a lot of Badibu presence there. You know, which shows that Badibu migration also onto the island also, you know, became very, very pronounced to an extent that, you know, they are able to carve out an area on the island where you can find a large number of people from one part of the country. But in there are a lot of people there because Gambia High School Bedamento, one person that I know, and very elderly guy who was from CRR, he told me this, an old man, he passed away now, when I was going to sixth form at Gambia High School. He told me before he died that Gambia High School grounds was his potato farm.
Okay.
And he's from Kunting. And he was on that island. He said 1935 was when he came to Banjul, in 1935.
Right. So
and he remembered very well during the Second World War. Tumo nibe mol muda kam Banjul marsoro kona kurumo ate funding ke malo nibe mol kurumo ka mol forcero. They were forced conscripts into the army to fight during the Second World War. So akotumo telo ke burni ke mawo. Ako yin Gambia High School men felin ntel ka parato sene nunje. And he came very far away. That's all the way from CRR. So the composition changed along the way, but most pronouncedly from the northern side, from Nyomi and Badibu, were quite a number of people that moved from that area.
Right, brilliant. Saying Dembo, what we can do is we can open the audio line. And then the text line as well for Molmi Alonko, comments or rules about this particular topic title today. If you want to make a call, you can call that number as seen there. It's a one number commanding on it. Or it's a text message. You can write it, send a message here if you want to ask a question pertaining to this Banjul history. We lost Dembo again, but we'll try and get hold of him. But rather than and then because nalo ne kwenye nkaro dolbe molbulu janne neta mas 1959. Gambia High was built in 1959. Yes, I can remember that because Gambia High, if you go, Ikajala Seferin Jeko built in 1959. Right. If you have the time, now your time, so to just share this video. And then that's the urge from all of you. We got a caller on the line who maybe would like to come on board here. And then I would like to say to you, hello, dear caller. Hello, caller.
Hello, good evening, sir. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thoroughly enjoying your program, to be honest with you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah,
what is your name? What, if I may ask your name and where you calling from?
My name is Banjul. I'm calling you from Edinburgh in the United Kingdom. Yes, good evening to you guys.
All right, evening to you, sir.
Yeah, I just want to ask a question. It's in regards to Sukuta. Yeah, I've just once heard about a gentleman telling me that the chants they're not originally from that area, they're from Senegal, and they are Wolofs. How true is that side of the story?
All right, thank you so much for your question. Dembo, have you heard that? Dembo Yomo. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay,
Logo, just a second.
Yeah, why not?
What was the question? A question of minute.
Well, actually, there is a song name from, I really actually missed that name, from Sukuta. How did that come about? I think that's what he said, I lost the question, Dembo, to be honest. Well, it's got to do with the song name settling in Sukuta. Help me out. You lot watching there, if you remember, present day, it was called Boys High School. Well, yes.
No,
if you have any questions, you can bring this
what happened with Gambia High School was Gambia High School. There were two schools made merged together. Your Boys High School closed, and then Girls High School you only closed, and they merged them to become Gambia High School.
Yeah, I feel bad. This guy, the caller, if you can call back and ask this question here, that would be really brilliant. I missed the question because it's got to do with Ako, Sabeji. There's the charm, or there are surnames in Sukuta, Minya Lonko, Ekofusuwan Lonko. So, well, how do they get to Sukuta? If I'm right, if I got the question right, because it was struggling with the headphone. I think I need a headphone, to be able to hear this guy quickly. But if you can call back, caller from Edinburgh, it would be brilliant.
Yeah, I didn't
any other comments will be welcome.
Question of Sukuta. Going
Yeah, thank you, Jao. Thank you, Ibrahim Jao. Okay, wait, stay there, number 1 minute. I think he's here. Yeah, hello, caller.
Hi, it's me again.
Yeah, okay, go on. Sorry about that. I missed that question.
Yeah, what I was asking is, a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking to a gentleman. He's a grave.
Yeah.
And basically, what he was saying, like the Cham, the surname Cham from Sukuta.
Yeah.
They are not the founders of Sukuta, and they are one of who migrated to Sukuta probably centuries ago. So, and it was something that fascinates me. I just want clarification on how true or genuine is that. Because he was speaking to someone whilst I was there. That guy told him that he's a champ from Sukuta. He told him that, do you know that you people, your origin is from Chamin in Senegal? So it kind of fascinates me. So because I do follow your program every Saturday.
Okay, thank you so much.
So
thank
I said, if I ever have the opportunity, I'll pop the question and ask, maybe you might be able to help.
All right, no problem. Thank you so much. Dembo, yeah, that's the question. Thank you so much. Yeah, Dembo.
Yeah, I'll have to be honest here. I don't know a lot about the Chams in Sukuta. I know they're there, they've been there for a while. But
right.
I just don't know, because I know because Sukuta originally part of Imufranenum, from what I heard, Latikunda, Ikafdame Latikunda Sabi used to be the original location of it. And then they moved over to where they are located right now.
Okay.
But as to whether the Chams, maybe Mama K should be here, whether he's watching, but he's an authority on Sukuta. He wrote a book about Sukuta. I hope he's able to provide an answer for us. He's the expert for Sukuta. I definitely wouldn't know.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. This guy, I don't know his name. If you want to call, this is the number to call. The number that is pinned here, not like the Facebook Messenger number. If you call that Neo call, you're going to interrupt the video. Whoever is calling, you try calling that, or you can leave a message here. Yeah, it's got to do with Banjul today, and then we'll filter that. We'll drive down to Serekunda and then to Bakau eventually. So, fine, Dembo, Jao is here. Okay, any comments?
Yeah, Jao. No.
Yes, what I'm saying here, I mean, for can come in Banjul, it have a settlement order. So, how does the new settlement came about? Because now, historically, traditionally, it was like Gore and all that. So, the new settlement, because the after a bit you're saying, how does the new settlement came about? New settlement on Ying.
Yeah, like I said, Kabring, when they came in 1816, they came with a lot of people from Gore. They came with a lot of soldiers that were camped there. In fact, the first encampment, the military base was where half there was. That's what they call Leopold. So it changed from Leopold, then it became Battles. Then we had, after we had our independence, we called it back to Banjul. But then here is one name that I have not mentioned. Just a few days ago, I was looking for the traditional name, the indigenous name for the island. And I've been searching it for many years. And for those people who are interested in getting the name of the indigenous name for the island, they can buy this book. It's called The General Bibliography of the Gambia by David Gamble and Louis Stalin, 1979. If they check on page 7, the preface, there is the name of the indigenous name of the island. And they said that the indigenous people were calling the island Kunusu Joyo.
Where does that name come from?
Kunusu Joyo is a Mandinka word which means a bird sanctuary.
Right, interesting.
Yeah, probably there may have been a lot of birds on that island. They may have a lot of very good ecosystems there. But that's what the book said. Originally, Molka Island on Kumandu Kunusu Joyo. Coming Kunolia, remember Joyo in an island.
Ah, right. And then when was this? Was this before the Banjul thing come up?
Yes. Yeah, that's the indigenous name that they were calling it. So obviously that will predate Banjulo or Banjulo.
Right. Okay. Bakari Jata is saying, Jawa is saying, can I come? Can I please come in?
Yes.
Yes, Jawa, you can come in. Yeah, why not? Just ring this number and the number that's pinged there. You can come in, and then we will see what we can do about that. Jawa, why not? Jawa, we need Karola ko for us to do no ko. Yes,
Oh,
why
yeah,
not?
sure. Yeah, I
If
told him.
you
I told
come.
him to be around. I mean, he knows Banjul a lot. And
Yes, and then how do you call it? This Babukari Jata is saying, when is Bosumbala going to be discussed? I hope you guys have any of plan. Can wait. I can't wait to hear the historical evolution of my ancestors. Well, Busumbala is on the lineup anyway. From Banjul, we're going to Serekunda, then Bakau. That is his question. Dudu Jawana is in another fact that the place could have different names. Right. Are you seeing the comments, Dembo?
yeah, na phone be abe it's at an angle, so I see some of the phone call coming up. Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's okay. Let's see what Jao has got for us here before we summarize this thing at the minute. Janimba summarize later. Dembo, Latrikunda Savage, and Yundum, who are the first settlers. Well, today we are discussing Pruka Mol Hakilo Blaniko B. Nka Banjul discuss. We got a caller on the line, Dembo. Let's hear what you got to say. Hello, caller. Hello?
Yes, this is Bakari calling from Seattle, Washington.
All right, okay. Yes, Bakari. What's your question regarding Banjul?
I wanted to contribute to what Dembo was saying, especially the relationship between Yomi and Combo, relation to the ownership of the Banjul Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. I'm listening.
Sorry?
Yeah, go on. I'm listening. I can hear you. Yeah?
Okay, I think he wants to talk about the relationship.
For the line, I want to make a contribution.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on. Yeah, I'm listening. I can hear you.
Okay,
no, I think.
Thank you so much. My name is Bakari Conte. I'm calling from Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, go on. I'm listening.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit what Dembo was saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. Just keep talking. I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, what I believe was, I think the Banjul Island is I would say predominantly a property of the Congo.
Okay, that's your contribution. Yeah, thank you. Is that your
contribution? Yeah. So what I think is, the people of Yomi, because most of them are fishermen, I'm sure they were using their skills to cross over to the island, both for farming and also for fishing.
Right.
And I think that's why you can see that the Jame family in Bakau, for example, and the Bojan family in Bakau. As I was saying, I know that the tree issue, the Baba tree that we talked about, is what is called Demba Nani. But if you look at the proximity of the Banjul Island, definitely Congo has more military and other strength over Nyomi. So I'm not disputing that at some point in time, some inhabitants from Nyomi may have been residing in the island or using it, but I think predominantly at the time of the point of sale, it was under the control of Congo. And I think the reason why they had to pay the British because strategically, security-wise, you cannot use the island without being at peace with Nyomi because they are at the mouth of the river and they see everything that's coming in. I think that's one reason why they successfully led that attack on the Portuguese people that came in. That was what I wanted to contribute to.
Thank you so much. Dembo, you've heard that. Thank you very much.
Yes, I have had it. Now, Bagar is my good friend, not classmate of the sixth form. He's another good historian. Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why I brought these different scenarios is for all of us to look at the history of the island from a different perspective and understand Kujama Dul Ketel. And things may have, like you said, ownership may have changed hands along the way. And we may not know exactly when and at what time or how.
But we got Aliu here. Aliu. Yes, Aliu.
Hello?
Yeah, hello, Aliu. Yes.
Yes, Musaba.
Yes, Aliu. Thank you so much, Aliu.
Yes, but I wish ko program Canada Facebook da malo because member ya member la moiro la masa kalau terjadi. Di mana mana pas is beda aja report from the
Okay, that's correct. That's a good observation, Aliu. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, laka kunaka nyomi nin kobola for claim of Banjul.
Yeah.
C'est fatika même for comme ça nous nous attaque même force na de attaque part kero la ko the fact that ye attack maybe nous na running silo maintenant sur it only yeje like I mean because no really suti ata bala compare to combo like nim ko même tamu combo comme ça na ko bo tam Banjul beta de klati wala la yundum college so no la yundum for example da wala yundum bel de ñomi ma xol wala be tara mo jira mel kananan dan be tara yundum anda skuro para ko preso se tarno tema waya ba wala alliance se tara tema waya ba ko nyimena is a common enemy ibata ba attack la but that will not necessarily tell that it ko it will let up. Okay, the other thing is wala yundum ko nata ko ñom let up why British soldier combo Mansa approach, not not Nyomi. That's another question. Anungano go for mem de ma ko la kanyum bana ka segani wala ni panandiko. Tumale killing force security bakaw. Nyomi kollem bang wala kombo kolle. Ni nyomi kolle. Sometimes I say ken phone in for the ngafuno was kilo de pantamba because maybe cross la. Eta bi Banjul na ko eta special de pakawla. Bakawla then okay then last two for years all the settlements of Banjul de kala bakaw nim ko mo ko le tam bakaw de askero sa ko dam rosa to Banjul para Banjul se keno that I think that is very important anim para de normally mo kala te kam mo ka ko e jongol muta nga je ko ye mol muta ye jongol tan ka fi jongol muta especially mel force nata ko ni ko jongol muta which means ye tara joy yal be ye muta ye samba.
Okay.
So kami ida ni wala yung tigo wala fanga yung kaya yanda dan babol kara. So nga ni ko mol ye mol mo da ye jo yandi it means na mo korol mo da ye ke jong da ngara ko ma ba. The third la comment na men wala yung ko bi mo korol ni da jo ko le mel da ye attack. Ya onda nga on ni na dia mo da ka understand ko be c'était no Banjul. So jumal la wolti exactly comme ça into de dia mo kan gambel history la. Is important that the among country ka goal be enough but tomorrow multi ningo tomorrow multi but I mean to you call them yes you said that no composition we have different tribes but tomorrow world particular I think that's very important for historical sake but also comes a Marxist belief I mean a big can not be long places no or maybe tell a kind that kalo na time mo deje na ko time be je pana comme ça Mustafa ka kendo da ka sedro kala na trako dogol polo te ñen labo say mo akelo de ñaadi de ñol mo do na de domination kele je to the extent that the narrative has changed ni mo ma history bo kala ka understand ko ñu ke no no ñaadi ngara ko be tan nga ko ba jula present day president ñaadi bi no ko abo start ñaadi I think that's very important for kadoman no ko contribution.
Thank you very much, Aliu. Noted. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I think I which is very important. That instead of saying John Muta, Mol Joyan, I think that's important because in Mel Muta they were free people, and it's a boy taken a sapping and they had Joyan. I think that's well noted. I think that's a very good comment. And then the other issue I need memfo about Combo. Because many be J from the accounts ngam men karang buko nyinkono. Eko. many of the Shirinunje, they were from Nyomi. Because I talked about 3 books. One of them said, Menu Bijenun, they left Ikamfara, they went to form another settlement called Bakoko. Oyolo. But Doko, Kabri, Melbourne Funtita, but in Nyomin Kola. Oyolo explained Nyomin Kola. So obviously, the people that were on the island at the time were from Nyomi, according to that book. So we can safely say what composition they were, I'm not sure, but they said they came from Nyomi. They were subjects of the king of Nyomi. So we can tentatively say then mel nata je Nyomi Nkolo. Mel be sirin jenu ye mel tar je Nyomi Nkolo. And the book for the second book, according to John Morgan, woko kabiri na to mene wol botaji na tana sate doto kame bakoko. Between Bakau Tema sate do bijenu, they used to call it Clifton Town. Well, Clifton later was absorbed into Bakau. But that's what I read, and it said ko Nyomi Nkolo be sirin je.
Right. I think. Right.
I think how the composition changed. Yes, obviously, like I said, initially, migration was mainly from Gore, from Senegal. So there was a lot of opportunity.
But how did it change? You know, like the new settlement, how did it change to this kind of new settlement now?
Yeah, because as people migrate from Senegal, people from Gore and Dar, because these were areas that were, at that time, they were under the British. We used to have what you call the colony of Senegambia. This colony of Senegambia ended around 1783, when part of James Island and Gore were being managed by the British. So obviously, the British at the time had control in parts of Gambia and parts of Senegal. So when they had to move out of Senegal to come into Gambia, into populating Banjul, so they came along with the people. I'm sure there were people that were working for them in the administration, and others, they were used to the British system, would decide to pack their bags and come over to the new island and settle it. So I am sure, there was a lot of opportunity coming from that area that would change the composition of the island, because Melfambenu Island decided to move out. So if we have evidence, Melbe Island, some of them didn't like it. They didn't like the sale, so they left the island. They left it to go to form places like Bakau. So that's how over time, when migration, then the number will change. Population it was small then, but once the influx increases, then it will change. When slavery ended, there were thousands of people that were brought from Sierra Leone and Nigeria to populate Banjul, and that's how you have the Aku population there. Majority of them are either of Nigerian descent or from Sierra Leone. Because because in 1821 and in 1866, Banjul was administered from Freetown. We didn't have a governor. So twice in our history, Gambia was administered from Freetown. So which meant that the governor in Freetown encouraged migration from Sierra Leone to Banjul. So the Aku population also increased, the Creole population increased during those times, 1821, 1866. These were the 2 times that Gambia was administered from Freetown. We didn't have our own governor. We had an administrator on the ground, but he was answerable to the governor in Sierra Leone. So that is a factor. The fact that we didn't have a governor, we were managed from Sierra Leone, changed the composition of Banjul by bringing in more of the Creole people. Also, the end of slavery, because there was this asylum that was being given to freed, recaptured slaves in the Atlantic. So they brought in 4,000 to the island. That's a lot of people, considering that in 1960.
So, kami iba fo kanyamen dembo wolong akul na nyal, aning surwal na nyal, aning maningkol na nyal ibo le fo kantempo.
Yeah, I'm trying to show how the composition would change, because if in 1821 we were under Sierra Leone, a lot of Sierra Leoneans were encouraged to migrate to Banjul. In 1866, a lot of Sierra Leoneans were encouraged to migrate to Banjul. In fact, the island of Georgetown was named after the governor that was in Sierra Leone. So Sierra Leone had a lot of impact in terms of even the names we were getting in the Gambia, because a lot of the officials that were in Sierra Leone, we had some of our things, our islands and our settlements named after colonial officials that were based in Freetown. So that's how we ended up having Makati. Was named after the governor that was based in Freetown. And then because there were free slaves that were brought in, a lot of them from Nigeria and Ghana. You had a lot of the Aku groups in Banjul. Majority of them were from Nigeria, mainly from a settlement called Abiyakuta. So the Yorubas were very influential there. How? Because during at the end of the slave trade, there were a lot of people that migrated from Nigeria also into Banjul. So colonial policy also influenced who can come in and who can come out. And there were a lot of restrictions also from upcountry for people to migrate, because at the time there was a colony and there was a protectorate. So the protectorate people at the time, Ila movement was restricted to some extent in coming to Banjul.
Yeah.
So which means composition will change.
Exactly. So that composition, or protectorate, how did it come about? Because the place is called Banjul, and then Banjul Olam, and then that name, and in name Nolbenata. So what makes that impact of that big composition, that massive gap in that composition?
Yeah, well, like the colonial administration, when it started in 1816, they had to enact laws, and some of the laws they enacted was Banjul was absorbed as a crown colony. Now, there's a difference between a colony and a protectorate. A colony is directly ruled by the British. They were directly under the British, so they had a say over it. It was you lost your rights. In the agreement that Tumani Bojang signed, was that the king would give up his rights and entitlement to the property. So you lose control. And in fact, that's why when this junior Tumani Bojang Kayako, if you want to change us to France, another French territory, give us my family's property. But I'm not sure whether they understood the fact that at the time they were signing this, they gave up their rights and their entitlements to the land. So now it's up to the British to decide who stays there. Later on, another expansion also came to Banco, which is Combo St. Mary's. That's where Sabiji was annexed into Combo St. Mary's. That led to the death of Sulin Jata in Busumbala. Busumbala attack, and then they killed the king who was there, old Busumbala, which is where you have what's his name place again? Jabang area. If you move from Jabang going towards Sanyang area or Silonyina, old Busumbala will move. So you will have that expansion led to the death of the king of Busumbala. But then they expanded the town, the settlement, all the way down to Lamen area. So gradually they were buying more land and signing more treaties, buying more land and signing more treaties. And then they had the protectorate ordinance. That protectorate ordinance was an indirect rule. So we had two systems. The colony part was directly ruled by the British. The indirect rule, which is the protectorate system, was ruled by our own people. That was when they started these chiefs appoint, and then subdivided the districts. The chiefs signed an agreement with them that they will give up their rights, at least their administrative rights to the territories, and they become British subjects.
So this is when all the selection was done. So it only can select. You have to mini taraje and then mini kana taraje, kodi?
Yeah, because they decided which part of the country is a colony and which part of the country is not going to be a colony. So from Lamen Bridge all the way to Banjul was directly administered by the British. Anywhere after Lamen Kata was managed by our own people. It's Chefol Bewoloko. But we had some chiefs in the Combo St. Mary's, which was the first chief member in Jame Kundankolo. That was in 1894 when they started the Protectorate Ordinance Amendment of 1894. Jame Kundankolo had the first Chefoti from Bakau. And it continued until 1946. 1946, it was abolished. That was one, I think it's one Jere Ture, or Jere Ture or Jereba Ture was the last chief in the Combo St. Mary's. Then they stopped it. It became a crown state, crown land, and therefore they were administered directly by the British. This is why from 1946, Chief Mukosoroji, there was no chief anymore in the Combo St. Mary's. All that you have is KMC like Chairman or Katariji. Chief Monsoroji, as big as the place, man Chief Soroji. But if you cross the bridge to Lamen, you can say Poltarol. From Brikama going to Fonyi, going to Jara, going to Kiang, going to Basse, Saponyol, Fuladu, Ning, Nyominyol, yes. Because those areas were not, part of the colony.
Okay.
So the protectorate stayed where they were, and then the colony was managed directly by the British. And so they influenced migration.
Right. That is brilliant. Dembo War is so interesting and brilliant. But on that note, alongside me, fele atuta watu to amango siage kotenke. Be menkela saying be minasaro de.
Did you get Jao? I think he was.
Sorry?
Jao Kavano, he was coming on board.
Yeah, Jawa, he's wanting to come, but I couldn't. I've not seen him for some reason, but that's absolutely fine. Maybe it's up to something. But saying coming into the water to Amosiake, we've got very limited time to stay away. We will continue with Bakau, inshallah, next week for Serekunda. Where are we going?
Puti, I mean, you can almost box them. Serakunda Mame is just a very short history, basically from Bavik Town to the migration into Serakunda and Sair Job. Well, jump for back. But we'll look at what we can do next time and see whether we can box a few more places, put them together. And because a lot of those places, like, if you don't have extensive written records, it becomes he said, she said, he said, she said. And a lot of the places among a lot of detailed written history sort of. But what we can do is we'll liaise, after the program and see Satol Menu Lafalaje, maybe
Okay.
2 or 3 at a time and box them together.
Yeah,
but maybe
fine.
I wanted to provide the list of male safety at Bakau when the colonial administration came.
Yeah,
which is the Combo St. Mary's. The first chief was Bakari Jammeh of Bakau. And he became chief in 1894 to 1914.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I was saying, how did these Jammehs become chief in Combo St. Mary? And in fact, from Bakau.
Bakari Jammeh, when was he? Which year was this?
1894.
Okay.
To 1914.
Okay.
And then he was replaced by Khalifa Jata of Lameng.
Okay.
From 1914 to 1923. And then that Khalifa was replaced by Njaga Kamara of Bakau. Njaka Kamara. From 1923 to 1942. And he was replaced by Jereba Toure of Bakau from 1942 to 1946.
Okay.
Yeah, so eventually after 1946, then the chieftaincy was banned in Combo St. Mary. It became a direct crown colony and it was changed. So it was directly administered.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
yes, thank you very much for that, Dembo. Abaraka bake emo kende. Baminkela saying, because me do the word of the saying kanya bandula friend, but say sorrow di mulla jang for what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I would have loved some other people to come on, and hopefully, I think it makes it very interesting. Like Nibe areas will menfola, you have somebody from that town or from that settlement to come on board and provide additional perspectives. Because mostly in Ndeka Bura Melnoma are written records. I look for written materials and then reference them. It will be interesting also to have people maybe they will also have some other local folklore and stories and interesting stories that we can share. And that we may not know about the place. Like for example, just yesterday I was reading about a story in Banjul coming. They used to have justice of peace, in the court system. Musol Bijelenu, they introduced Musol into the judiciary, but at some point people refused to accept orders from Musjojo, justice of peace. So by 1946, they eventually banned having women sitting on the bench. In the judiciary system. So these are interesting things we can talk about. There's also a story about a crocodile called 10 shillings. I hope, I would have wished for some other people to come and talk about it. But more goes in Banjul. Nima 10 shillings at Ebola. So, there are many interesting stories that, I would have loved Jao to come on and, share with us.
Yes,
that, interesting, funny things, you may not know all of these things. They will not be written, but having somebody from that area helps a lot.
Yeah, true.
And make it more lively instead of just being academic. You can introduce those, stories. Create some laughter, some humor into the program rather than making it too serious, like more like a classroom setting. And
yes.
No, that's true. Yeah.
I was expecting him to come.
Right. When you talk about dates and references, it becomes too dry. Unless you are interested in academic work, it's kind of boring to somebody interested to know, things like that. Those things happen, you want to share those kind of stories.
Yeah. Hang on a minute. On that note, Dembo, your final thoughts.
Yeah, I would say, thank you to everyone who, came, listened to us on the radio or watched us on Facebook, and that this is something me along control beba karan be londo and we want to learn from everyone. I hope if anybody has anything to add, add to the comments. I'll be reading all of them when I finish. And reach out to me on Facebook and send me a messenger. I'm willing to learn. So this is not just because I feel like Ongalo, no. I'm just sharing the little I have. And I want to people to share what they have. Along the way, we will be able to rewrite our history. We will be able to add some more stuff to our history, because some of the things they are not in our history syllabus. And there are evidences for those things happen. So this will help us, come up with a better history syllabus. Maybe some history teachers are also watching. They can add this thing to whatever is being taught. And hopefully, gradually, Banko can do good and so it's not a one-way traffic. I'm not here to lecture. I'm here to learn. So please, if anybody sees anything you are not comfortable with it, let the conversation continue online. I'll be reading the messages, the text messages, and I'll be responding too.
All right, that's fine. And Dembo, on that note, we'll say thank you so much for your time, energy, and effort, and we'll be back here same time, same place, Trap Power FM Radio. Baraka Imokende, Amalejo. Until we come your way, same place, Dembo. Thank you so much.
Okay, Baraka.
Baraka, thanks.
Okay.
Right, this is where we draw the curtain for tonight's edition of Tariko Sky Power FM Radio Studios. Mustafa Jami and Dembo. Inshallah, until we come your way, same place, same time, Sky Power FM Radio. So long it has been Dembo Fati and myself, Mustafa Jame, at the seat here from Sky Power FM Radio. Thank you so much for being there. Have a pleasant night.